Welcome back. Not bad for your first go. It's one of the biggest fiction debuts for Penguin India. The House That Spoke was written by 15-year-old Zuni Chopra. Her extravagant descriptive style certainly catching the eye of critics. Good too for family competition. Her uncle won the Commonwealth Prize for his first book. Her father is the Bollywood filmmaker Zuni Chopra. Her mother, the author and journalist Anupama. And she is with me, and so too is Zuni. Welcome to you both to the programme. Big smiles from you, and congratulations to you on this hit of a book.
Thank you.
How did you come up with the idea in the first place?
Well, the idea actually came from my friend, her name's Shreya. We were on the school field one day, and she's one of those friends that like obsesses over the weather. Like if the sky is blue, she'll be like, it's so beautiful, and I'm like, yes, we're in Mumbai, India, that tends to happen. But she started describing to me this house in London, coincidentally, and she started talking about how it was straight out of a fairy tale, and it was so beautiful. And no one at the time was really listening to her, but yeah, no one was. But then like 2 weeks later, I was just thinking about it, and I was like, you know, that's not a bad idea. And I called her and I said, tell me everything about this house that, you know, you were talking about. And she barely even remembered what she'd been saying, but I really asked her to kind of remember every detail. And I started writing the description of the house, and slowly the idea kind of grew into something bigger.
But you hopscotched over. What's a 15-year-old doing thinking that's a good idea for a book?
Well, I knew before that I wanted to try writing a novel that was something more sort of long and more sustained than the poetry and the short stories that I'd done in the past. So I knew that I wanted to write a novel. I just didn't know what it was going to be about. And then, you know...
So there was the idea. Now, Mum, you, in the sense, tweaked the idea, didn't you? Because it wasn't really working in its original form, this house in London. It was you that suggested, am I right, that it perhaps move locations?
Absolutely, because she felt that she didn't know the UK and especially London enough. I mean, we come here often enough, but you don't know the culture, you don't know the sort of smell and the feel of it enough. And I said, well, move it to home, and Vinod is from Kashmir, so, and we go back every year despite all the trouble there, you know, so I said that she said it has to be a place where it snows. There aren't many of those in India.
Yeah. Now, I said it's caught the eye of critics. I mean, you were there at the Jaipur Literary Festival, and of course a lot of attention revolving around you, but your mother talking about eventually setting this in Kashmir. Isn't the obvious difficulty, if you set it there with so much of a backdrop of conflict, you're somehow drawn into all of that territory? How did you navigate that?
Well, actually, the thing with my book is that while it takes into account everything that's going on in Kashmir, and while it speaks about everything that's happening in Kashmir, it's just set in Kashmir. Like when I say it's set in Kashmir, it really is just set there, as opposed to commenting on the politics. And the kind of message beneath it, like the whole purpose of telling the story, would be to kind of draw people away from that idea of Kashmir, and to make people see that it's something more than just political conflict and violence. You know, that it's a beautiful place where a fantasy novel like this can be set.
Now your brother, of course, has won awards in terms of his writing. Now, you were able, weren't you, as this process moved along, to actually offer up help when it came to the writing?
Well, she didn't consult me on plot. She went to her father for plot. I was the sort of the more boring grammar check and, you know, that kind of stuff.
You're a glorified spell check then, were you?
Basically. Basically.
Well, so, lines and things, descriptions and...
yeah.
But if something sounded out of context, that was when I came to her. But she didn't actually read the whole book until it was finished.
But you did use your father for scenes and for plot.
Yeah.
I mean, in what sense then, was it a collaborative effort, or is this really just you?
Well, he only gave me advice when I went to him for it. And I would only go to him if I was absolutely like, this was the end of, you know, like I had no idea about what to do. And I mean... yeah, he definitely did help, but then again, a lot of other people helped as well. But them, in terms of I interviewed them, you know, because as much as I have loved Kashmir and as much as we visited it, it's not like I lived there. So I had interviewed my dad and my whole dad's side of the family to kind of bring authenticity into the writing. So
you know, I interviewed my dad once. It wasn't a great success. Yeah. But, now tell me, because I was full of admiration for you when I was reading some of the background stuff, because you apparently told her, you and your husband, that you were pretty relaxed about her school grades.
Well,
going
especially
down the
him.
pan while she concentrated on this. Now, I can't imagine myself as a parent ever saying to any of mine, relax about the grades, I don't really care.
Well, the weird thing is I did do pretty well.
She did. Okay, the only reason I could really say that is because I know that she is so invested in her grades that she's going to push herself no matter what. Her father genuinely doesn't care. I pretend not to care.
Yeah, that's actually pretty true.
And in terms of, I mean, you've written this book, it's a tremendous success. Another book, or will you go back now and perhaps do what 15-year-olds should be doing?
Passing their boards. Yeah, I'm going to try and do that. I literally have exams in a month. Yeah, but I'm thinking of, because while I was going through my laptop and organizing all the documents from the book, I found a lot of poems and short stories that I'd written, you know, just for the sake of writing them, as opposed to for a book or for a certain anything. So I think I might do a book of poems and short stories, just, you know, ideas. I definitely want to try another novel someday, but maybe just finishing the boards.
So no letter. I was
first.
really intrigued by the ending, the twist, because this, in effect, this is a good versus evil story. The house is talking to you. It's about the spirits and the challenge there, and that fundamental dilemma. But you chose, in the end, good didn't vanquish evil.
Yeah.
There was a twist. Tell me briefly what that was.
It was more of good accepting. Well, to quote one of my favorite sort of series, especially when I was a bit younger, was The School for Good and Evil by Soman Chainani, and there's a line in that where he says, true good means accepting evil as your equal, which I really think is kind of what's happening in the book, and really sort of just pushing through it as opposed to believing that it can be vanquished or stopped, because, I mean, that's now a part of Kashmiri history. It's not like it can be vanquished in any way, but it just has to be kind of accepted and you know, drawn down into a manner in which it can be, you know, because it can be overcome, but not in the traditional sense of vanquishment. Like, you really just have to push through it, as she's done in the book.
Well, listen, we have simply run out of time, but thank you, both of you, for coming in and talking to us about the book. Congratulations once again on your success. We've got plenty more coming up on today's programme. Don't go away, we're back in a moment.